Hello and welcome back to my channel. Now, I know I said in my last video that I wasn't going to do too much on lol cows, but after reviewing the Shani and Rev video that I did, there was one other stream that sprung to mind that I would like to share my opinions on, and it's this one from Foodie Beauty. Now, a little bit of context around this one. Basically, it was around Christmas time, I don't know, a year or two ago, where it came out that her husband was texting a member of her community. Now, the texts that came out were disgusting. He is very much into things, stuff around shit, stuff around degradation, stuff around abusing women, and it was pretty dark. Even though it was very funny because of certain situations with Chantal, it was also very, very dark when you look at the actual subject matter of those texts. But anyway, so she was in Canada at the time, and rather than being a sensible woman and looking at that and thinking, oh my God, I want nothing to do with it, desperation struck and Chantal went running back to Kuwait. And then when she was getting heat from the community, decided to release the video that we're going to have a look at today. Now, this cut down is done by Barbecue Chillin', who is a fantastic channel. I'll put the link in the description below. I highly recommend you go and check them out because they are brilliant. And yeah, let's get into it.
Well, hello guys, welcome back. So just warning you, I was really debating whether or not I'm going to react to this because, again, another trap and another falling for it.
Now, the first point I want to make in this video is the makeup look. Now, this look is pretty well known as being her kind of, I'm going to come out and tell people off look. And what I find interesting about this is that it's very much reminiscent of like the late 90s, 2000s, where like the big figures for a lot of girls were like the Gwen Stefani's, the Courtney Loves, and it was all about pale skin, winged eyeliner, red lipstick, and it's a lot of people comment that she's stuck in a certain era of her life, and I'm inclined to agree with that. And I think that this was a look that she used to use a lot back in those days. And back in those days, you see images of her when she was younger, and she does have a pretty face when she was younger. And I think that the look of the time, combined with some good features when she was younger, meant that she probably felt like quite a boss-ass bitch when she was donning this. And so whenever she's in a situation when she wants to come online and tell people off, this is what she drags out because it's like her kind of go-to, I don't know, power face or whatever. But the thing being with stuff like that is that times change, we change, and at the end of the day, beauty changes as well. And yes, if you did have some, if you looked attractive when you were younger, beauty changes as you grow older, and if you don't take care of yourself, then it can fade. And the thing is for Chantal is that the only way that she can achieve anything even remotely close to that previous look or her previous face, her younger face, is by huge amounts of filters. So what we see here are eye filters to make her eyes bigger, skin filters to make her skin paler and smoother, lip filters, and also the fact that she's tucked a few chins into that chin spanks, as they call it, because she has spent years and years and years abusing her body. So the only way she can achieve this now is through a massive illusion, which she knows is an illusion. And so I think that's where a lot of the deep-seated nasty bitchiness comes from, because you can turn around to everybody and try to pretend like what we're looking at now, that this is who you are and what you look like. But we've all seen what you look like, and you know what you look like, and it's not fooling anybody. So there is no power in this because everybody knows that it's an illusion. The only time that an illusion is typically powerful is when the illusion is held in place. So anyway, let's carry on.
But I want to put this video out once and for all and make this a last statement for everyone who was, emailing me, trying to DM me. So here's the thing. They're not new screenshots, okay? They're just the same ones from the last
Yes, they were.
time. I've seen everything. I know about everything. And I'm here to tell you that I 100% don't give a shit about them anymore.
Well, you do give a shit about them, because if you didn't, you wouldn't be making this video. And you do give a shit about them because anybody with half a mind would give a shit about them. No matter what direction you're coming from, you could be coming from the direction of being highly disturbed by the content of those messages, or highly disturbed by the betrayal. Whichever way you come from it, you're going to be bothered by it. And as much as I know that she does struggle when it comes to breathing and things like that, you can also tell that she is bothered and stressed because of how the breaths that she's taking. People who are typically agitated will, you'll be able to see their chest like moves way faster. They try to take in more oxygen. And yeah, that's what we're seeing here.
I have decided to reconcile with my husband, and if this
Reconcile
ever happens again, I'm prepared to deal with the consequences. Yellow. You can't judge it from an outside perspective in this case because you don't know all the details.
Yes, we 100% can judge it from our perspective, because that's the wonderful things about perspective. Perspective is based on from where you are standing. And from where most people are standing, they saw those messages, they saw how you guys interacted on various videos, and they're going to have a perspective on it. So you can't shut people down and say you can't have a perspective on it because you don't know the full situation. It's like a perspective is exactly that. We're looking at what is put out on the internet, whether that be DM leaks or your content, and we are forming an opinion based on that. But Chantal, I think, is typically very used to controlling people around her and telling them what they can and can't do. And she's quite a force. And yeah, and I think that YouTube is kind of the best and the worst thing to have happened to her, because I think she's so used to controlling people around her through various means. But that's one thing she cannot do successfully on YouTube because of the nature of the internet. And this is why she's so pissed off most of the time, I think.
So, Skankbella, I know you're desperately wanting to drag out this clout that you worked so hard for, and I'm telling you, you will remain a nothing after this. Don't worry. And I see her trying hard to kind of get some kind of like emotional response out of him. And
see, this bit was interesting for me because she says like she was trying so hard to get an emotional response. So in her mind, she's looked at it and she's been like, oh, well, the physical stuff, that's fine. But, she didn't get an emotional response. She wasn't trying to get an emotional response from him. He was talking about jizzing over pretty much everything in your apartment. That wasn't what the conversation was about. And he still ended up telling her, I believe, that he loved her. So she kind of did get an emotional response because from what I understand, he said he loved her and she blocked him and released the DMs. So that is kind of an emotional response, but Chantal's going to justify it to herself because it's like, well, yes, okay, there was all that dirty, horrible physical stuff that he was talking about, but he loves me, and she was trying to get an emotional response and she didn't get it. Oh my gosh, woman.
There might be a few moments where he's just like, you can see him just replying like, you're a worthless piece of trash. I want to pee on you. I want to poop on you. I want to, just, you're my slave. You're worthless. You're total bitch. You're total worthless. And she'll try to get this emotional response, and then he'll just go back to humiliating her, and then probably just to tell her what she wants to hear, blah, blah.
And why does that not concern you? And that's the thing that I think so many people in the community are just baffled by. Why does that not concern you? That the man that you're with is saying such disgusting stuff to a woman behind your back on the internet. Like, if I found out that a male friend was saying that kind of stuff, I'd be looking at them like, oh God. Do you know what I mean? But she's just like, but she's completely focused of, oh yeah. Her focus is, well, he was speaking to her awfully, so obviously, I haven't lost in this situation. And it's just, oh, it's madness.
Anyway, I'm not condoning the actions. I've said already that it was wrong, and I had a choice to make, and I chose to move on. So I have nothing more to say about this tea, this drama. It's not a...
And she completely glazes over it. She says, oh, I've said that it was wrong, but you're consistently going into bashing Kybella and bashing her and bashing her, calling her all the names under the sun. Why don't you call your husband any names? Why don't you turn around and say what a piece of shit he is? But to be fair, when she first reacted to this, when she was in the car, she did kind of kick off and call him names on that. So yeah, the immediate reaction was what should have been the reaction that you carried right the way through, but obviously not.
Affecting our lives anymore. So if it affects yours still, good for you. If you want entertainment out of it, good for you. Shut the fuck up! He's saying it was just in the heat talking moment. He was lonely and, whatever. And it would have never been real life, even though some of the screenshots hint at that or say that.
Yeah, so you gotta love it. It's like, oh, he said it wouldn't be real life, even though he was trying very, very hard in those messages to make it real life. And the only reason it didn't go real life is because she blocked him. So, again, this is not a win.
Let me compare the screenshots for you of how he talks to me and how he talks to a skank like this. Just look at this.
And again, it's like, what are you fighting for? Oh, look how he talks to me and look how he talks to her. What are you fighting for? What is so fantastic in this situation to keep a man that speaks like this behind your back to another woman? It's just, I just don't get it. As well, I think a lot of people don't. It's just... You gotta laugh. Perfect angel. You are my gift. There's nothing, it takes 2 seconds just to be like, you are perfect. You are my gift. Whereas the other ones, the other texts he was sending to Kybella, they were frenzied. They were like, I want to jizz all over everything about you, blah, 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 blah. This is more like, you are beautiful. And it's just, it's so stupid.
You're a lie. You're a lie. He never said anywhere in those screenshots he wants someone to eat their shit or he wants to eat shit. It's he wanted to use her as a human toilet because she's a piece of trash. It's all for play, and as long as you're not hurting anybody in real life, I don't see the harm. I did get hurt by this, I also look at it in a mature sense and kind of understand that there's this repressed, just fetish diarrhea that came out. And
I love how I guess you could say the narcissism, again, I can't diagnose anybody because I'm not that kind of person, I'm not qualified to, but it's the justification there of like, well, this is the reasons why and blah blah blah, and it's just, he's just repressed. And the fact as well, look at the expression that has that I've paused on. Would this be your expression when you're talking about how your husband has cheated on you and is talking about wanting to women and shit on them? Would you be pleased? Something deeply wrong with this one.
Oh, daddy. And that, he probably has a hard time with someone he loves and values talking to them like that. So,
it's amazing watching her justify it to herself, how her mind has gone through its machinations of how can I turn the situation into something that I want. So ultimately, I want this man, and how am I now going to turn this obviously hideous situation into something where I get what I want? And it's like tick, 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 tick. Her mind goes around and around, and eventually it's like, aha, okay, it's because he's from a repressed culture. He values me too much to talk about me like that, and obviously that means he loves me. It's such a warped way of thinking.
There's a difference between, you know, worthless skanks and valuable women that you love. So what happens to her at this point, I don't give a shit. Like, I
love it. Worthless skanks. And again, what's your husband? He's a cheater, a betrayer. He wants to abuse women. I'm sad. And she's like, yeah, she's a worthless skank. It's just like, it's bonkers to watch. It's bonkers to watch her give an absolute pass. I mean, she's given passes before to other hideous men, which we won't mention, but it's wild to just watch her kind of take pride in the fact that she's basically saying, oh, well, you're a worthless skank, and I've forgiven him, so it's all good. And it's a level of somebody who's obviously grown up being told that the most important thing that you can ever have in your life is a man. And it's just such a toxic way of living your life. Because don't get me wrong, you know, I'm not a man hater in any way. I love men. I think they can be great, you know, but if you're taught that that's the most valuable thing, then somewhere along the road, something's gotten fucked up. Because then you end up in these situations where you're in your 40s, you know, getting scammed, basically paying for somebody to love you, putting up with public humiliation upon public humiliation, and consistently trying to do backflips in your mind to justify what's going on. But then every time you close your eyes at night, you're having that little voice in the corner of your mind that says, you know the truth, you know this is toxic, you know he doesn't love you, you know that it's a lie, you know you don't look like that, you know you've got all these health issues. Because the truth is something that will always be there. Even if you're a massive narcissist, you know, narcissism stems from a deep wound, usually in your younger years, formative years, where something's happened basically which kind of cracks you, and you create this image of yourself as being perfect. And that's pretty much the only way that you can kind of live on and survive, is by believing that you are this perfect, amazing, fantastic person, and everything around you gets twisted into a perception that fits that. And with that, it's just, even if you have that deep sense of narcissism, the truth is the truth, and it will still itch at the back of your mind. You know, it may not be as loud as it would be on say a mentally healthy person, you know, where the truth in that scenario will be screaming, as what with so many people that watch this, we look at it and think, how can you not see this? How can you put up with this? How can you justify this? Because, you know, even though everybody has, I think, their mental health issues to one extent or another, you know, we can see what's going on. But I think that when you are so deeply mentally ill as this one is, it's like the truth is there, but it's just that little quiet voice that only tends to come out in those quiet moments. And sometimes you'll see on these streams, you'll have moments of clarity, moments of self-deprecation that are based in truth. And as quick as it comes, it's gone again. So it's there. We've seen glimpses, but it unless she has some kind of super intensive therapy, which she will never do, it will never grow big enough to make an impact on her life. And these things and these patterns will continue, because in Chantal's world, she is right, everybody else is wrong. And if anybody disagrees with her, it's because you don't understand. You know, it's like you just don't understand the situation. You haven't got the information. You know, you don't know the life that, you know, it's all of these other factors rather than the actual truth of the situation. So anyway, before this video gets too long, I'm going to leave it there, because that's the bulk of my observations that I wanted to share on this. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.